right, welcome everybody to the stream. Of course, this is the close, the session where we talk about what Nasty Wall Street have been doing today and what we're looking or planning to do over the movement from the close into the next session. We've got some big moves here coming through. Obviously, crypto, Bitcoin, 55K. Wow, very large movement here on the cryptocurrencies. That's probably the biggest story, really. And then we have a fairly decent reversal coming through on the market. So we're going to be talking about that first off. We'll talk about the S&P 500. Now, everyone in the chat's getting crazy, and they're going with the idea that this is the biggest bullish threat ever in the markets. We're still stuck in the same range, guys. Like, I mean, pretty much it's exactly the same as what happened or what we suspected would happen yesterday. We had that selling near the close. It was pretty obvious to me anyway that they were looking to sell it down. Made a video about it. Obviously, it did sell down from the close into the open, and then we held the zone. So, yeah, we're still stuck in the overall range here in the S&P 500, unless I'm seeing something different to what you guys are. And I would be going with the idea that we are still looking for a closure either way. So coming into this point, we'll be talking about it quite a lot. We've obviously seen a nice reversal, and that's pushing things like the Nasdaq in particular. But for the S&P 500, still stuck exactly in this section. So between that 42 kind of 90, 4,300 on the real market and that 43.76 kind of highs here. So that's where we are at this stage. Let's have a look at the 15 minutes just so we could see the sneaky action at the start of the day. Gapped below, moved down, moved to the 42.91, had a bit of resistance around the 43.27. I could see a lot of people trading this, trading either this bit here towards the buy side after they saw it, or of course taking the closure out. Day traders would have liked all of these, especially this one to fill the gap. It's a good scalp there, if not taking into this bit of the high. So very strong here into the close. We're going to be watching it for the next 27 minutes. We obviously want to know exactly what they're going to do. But as far as I see it, we're still stuck in this area. And I think this is important because when we go back over and we think about like S&P 500 in the past, let's go back into some history. Here's a good example of a dip that obviously ended up having a nice channel on it, and then it did move up. Here's an example of a channel that moved down. So it was stayed in there for a while. This is very common that markets will go into these areas. They will create big channels, and then we'll see a clear direction change. Now, when you generally get a direction change, e.g. this one over here in 19, you'll notice it did spike to the buy side, hit the resistance straight away, and then came down a bit. But overall, this was as low as we got. So the story here is these channels matter. These channels tend to lead to a better kind of pickup in the future. I mean, we've always seen there's another double bottom here, probably more breakout, and then obviously movement. So the breakout will be the key. Hopefully we see this closure. I doubt today, but if we see it in the future, like let's say tomorrow's close, hey, yes, the bears have probably been slapped at that point. But at this point, do you guys agree? I mean, what's everyone thinking? Everyone's going very bullish, which is fair enough. The session's doing well, but the S&P 500 still in the middle of this area, unless my chart is completely wrong. Now, the Nasdaq's a little bit of a different story because you can see here on the futures, that's a big reversal here that's come through in the futures. Futures were down near that 14,430. They've bounced back up above that. Let's have a look at the real market in comparison to the futures. So here's the real market, very different story to the futures. Again, back at a resistance. Again, really we're at a story here which is not that strong for the market overall. It's just kind of at a point where it's fine resistance and support. So we probably could even see some selling into the close, which we're starting to see now. A little bit of profit taking coming in here from the Nasdaq. And I will always go back and have a look at Apple. I mean, Apple to me is the teller of the market. And that's why you've got to pay attention to this. I mean, is this a super important zone? Hell yeah, it is. We're very close, guys. Look at the downward trend line on Apple. Phenomenal downward trend line. Phenomenal story here to the bull side if we do get through. We obviously have the bull and the bear cases. We do have a good base here that's formed. And if it does end up going bullish and closing through here, then that's a big deal. But I would guess into the close that, again, Wall Street might want to take a little bit of profit. through these areas. And it's kind of similar to yesterday from that action. What do you think? Let me know, chat. What do you think? Marvin the Martian correctly says Apple at resistance. That's right. Bradley B says, best day trading ever. I was done in 7 minutes. Okay, cool. QQQ giving a go at the trend line. Yeah. But again, what do we expect from this? Well, let's bring up maybe the FinViz. We'll start doing a few of these things into the close where we're actually going to look at some of the sectors. Why we can do it live. Why wouldn't we? We have a unique ability to actually check some stuff out here into the close. Let's have a look here, guys. Oh, hello there. Random. Why are these ones the most popular today? You think it's all tech. Why exactly Wall Street moving into the old defensives? Defensive sectors doing the best today. Make sure I refresh this for you guys. There we go. XLU the best, XLP 0.8 and XLRE 0.47. So defensive, utilities, consumer staples, they're the two high ones. And if we move over here to the market itself, you'll notice that there was that rally that came through, let's call it mid-session. And now we expect that little bit of a sell-off into the close. Very normal, very consistent. Unfortunately, really no direction still. I wish there was, but we're at that critical zone. And look, we're going to get a direction. I believe we will. By this Friday, we're going to have a direction either way. But don't get as excited as maybe some people are just because we are on our trend line tops. The Nasdaq's pushing the top. The US 500's pushing the top. Where the real excitement should be today is actually in Bitcoin, because that's a phenomenal big breakout. Like, congratulations on Bitcoin hodlers. You guys should be pretty damn happy. This is a big closure, guys. This is going to push towards 60, it looks like. Now, I may not do it in one day, but that's a big movement. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of people moving into Bitcoin, specifically the bigger guys. You know, people are discussing it now. You know, you go and talk to the fund managers in America, and they're actually talking about those types of things. Viv says, will Apple hit 135? I mean, it's always an educated guess on these things. You're at a resistance right now. Everyone's feeling bullish. We expect probably a little bit of weakness into the close here as profit takes come through. But you can't really think that, you can't say, oh, I know it's going to hit 135. Statistically, it's all about the US 500 getting underneath 4,300. That's what's up. If you want to know when it's more likely going to occur, it's there. Greg Hartman says BTC exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Absolutely. BTC, very, very, very strong. Phenomenal move. And you would expect the alts to start to move with these. So altcoins, very, very weak. Bitcoin's doing its dance. It's moving through here. Look at this. Huge, huge movement. 60K in the sites, 58K to 60K in the sites. I would prefer it probably now to dip back down here a little bit. But it's interesting when everyone lost faith. Like, there was about 2 weeks ago, everyone said it was stuffed. And we just follow the price action. You know, you might not get the lowest low. You might not have got 40,800, but certainly here was a very bullish signal. And then we got another bullish signal, and both opportunities. Look at the value that's come into Bitcoin. Suddenly Bitcoin became the strongest chart, and now we're really seeing that advantage. Let's have a look at BTC shorts. Yeah, it's very low. See, phenomenal. Great move. Whales aren't, being negative towards it. If you move through some of the other ones, Ethereum starting to move up there, which is pretty good. ADA starting to look a little bit better. But these are the coins that will go a little bit later. So these are the coins that, you say ADA cleans this 230, was this 233 area. Expect that to be quite ferocious, because what it is a trough, a peak, a higher trough, and then a higher peak breaking through the previous resistance. A big deal. I mean, ADA is just trying, it's actually testing that exact line that we've talked about in the past. If we go to the 2 hour, let's just quickly draw this up. There we are. It's been testing in the bottom. This 233, very important zone for Cardano. So alts should go with it if Bitcoin can sustain. Eventually, these alts will try to go and try to do that turnaround. But at the moment, Bitcoin's time to shine, and we know how this story plays out. Bitcoin goes first, money is in that. Money flows out of Bitcoin. Bitcoin weakens a little bit, moves into Ethereum, goes into ADA, goes into the KSM, the dots, the chain links, and everything. And it's the same old story, isn't it, crypto fam? That's the way. Call put on BTC is getting a little high for continuous bull run. I don't know. That seemed okay to me. Greg Hartman says, Tom, I'm a boomer and have been investing for decades, most 401k and the IRA money. Got into trading the past 18 months and just wanted to say thank you, T. No worries, Greg. Hopefully, be careful out there, yeah? Risk management, as you would know, is the big key here for that's your life savings, isn't it? So you got to be very, very careful. And remember, everyone in Wall Street, their biggest concern is how much money they can make with as little risk as possible. US 10-year doing us dirty in terms of not getting that closure above. This was our big spot. Of course, if this becomes even more of an important zone in the future, this is what will either make or break, the bear short towards the Nasdaq. Saw that nice rally, got through, didn't close. That's why close is the key. That's why we're here today talking about the close. And then we didn't get above, and we've pulled straight back down, and now we've got this little bit of reversal. By the way, thank you very much to the 600 people here. If you guys smash the like button, it does help us out quite a lot. So definitely consider doing that. And we've got here the rejection coming through. Garrett says, good afternoon. Would buying puts on the SQQQ 3 times QQQ inverse be a valid way of going long QQQ? Oh, I mean, I don't know if I do that. That's like 3 times leveraged, yeah. Yeah, that's not what I would do. You're already in a leverage product, so you're basically just putting leverage on leverage on leverage, aren't you? Look, you can do whatever you want, but that's definitely a risk. It's definitely a risk. I wouldn't personally do that type of thing. Leverage on leverage on leverage. You better know what you're doing, or you're FOMOing in, or boom. That's a very, very large type of position. So here's the US 10-year. Here's the resistance. We're looking for that 1.55 closure plus. We're on the 20 moving average. It looks really bad on a daily. Obviously, it looks more like a shooting star or pin bar rejection. We're looking for that turnaround story. So basically, if the market can get above here, that'd be fantastic. Tesla, yeah, sure, we can have a look at Tesla. So Tesla's just hodling or hovering in the range. Nothing much to be concerned about here. Just floating around in that 780 to 760 area. Long leg doji, rejection candles, long leg doji, lots of bearishness in the days. I mean, all that really matters here is 800. We all know this. Tesla fans, it's all about holding in the trend, which will be that 20, and then of course getting past 800. 800 is the excitement point. We get a close here at 800. That's when we do the closes. That's when the real excitement begins, because this zone here near the end will be very, very, very fantastic. Let's scroll through some of these stocks. Roku has a big closure point on it. 20 moving average, just touching exactly where you expect some shorting to come back in based on the previous trend. But I do have one interesting one. This was actually bought up in the pre-market show yesterday, and that was Take Two. Take a look at this chart. So Take Two, very strong looking chart here. Very, big drop, 213 all the way down to 144. It's a game manufacturer. They make Grand Theft Auto and some other sports games and other things. And this is a pretty phenomenal breakout that we're getting here into the close. So that is a pretty decent breakout. It's getting through the big downward trend line, which is very significant. And then we have the previous support becoming resistance. And as we know, this is the type of thing where we might see something like that occur. And it looks like it's doing that full recovery that we really like. So yeah, T2, certainly one to watch if you haven't been watching it. That's one of the first stocks I've seen in a while that looks kind of bullish here. Miss Ale says, Tom, I'm confused by yields and bonds. Are they going up good or bad for the SPY QQQs? Well, I mean, it's pretty. Here's the easiest way of explaining it. 10-year yields, basically, it's a future price of interest rate. If you have a growth company like a tech or something like that, you're probably borrowing a ton of money. So if yields are going up, then the borrowing cost is going up. Therefore, it could inhibit your growth or inhibit how much debt you can take on over that next decade. That's why it's seen as negative. So 10-year yields going up is usually a negative thing for the QQQ, plus inflation, plus all these other things. Now, I don't personally think it has a strong correlation as long as it stays relatively low over the medium to long term. But the market will initially react negatively to those yields going up heavily. And what you're looking for in bonds is more if bonds start to spike and the market hasn't gone down, sometimes bonds spiking early and the market being like at a point of euphoria can show you Wall Street moving money. That's how I look at it. See a lot of people mention this AFRM stock. Relatively new, big volume in it recently. Looks like a Wall Street bets kind of play. Just because it's got so much action on it recently in these volumes. But look, it's a good break. It is breaking out towards the bull side. So let's revisit these. We've got about 12 minutes here till the market close. I'm just going to revisit both of the US 100 and the US 500 because we want to watch this close very, very carefully. So we're going to need to do a little bit too much work, I would say, for the US 500 to get through the resistance of 43.70 today. But I'll be watching. Let's have a look over here at this US 100. Let's check that out. So decent buying into the close, not the same weakness we had yesterday so far. Remember, in the previous session, we had that big bull come through, and then we could clearly see the signs of weakness. Right now, we had a sign of weakness at the resistance, but then we've come back down, and we've already started to move back up into the close. We've got 11 minutes. They're going to be sitting here really trying to push this whichever way they feel like for the next 24 hours. Will they get a close above 14,007? Let's call it 770, 780. I would have rather that this one was closing above. S&P much cleaner, much easier chart for us to be more confident in the closure. It's a much better channel. The channel is phenomenal, and therefore the signal is much easier to interpret. This one over here is more of a downward trend line based on futures, not as easy to interpret. Riff Raff says, Tom, getting angry at me here. Tom, AFRM is not just a meme stock. Pay attention. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll have a look. But there's plenty of stocks to make money from. So, I mean, if I have time, I'll have a look at it. It's worth $43 billion. So it's not like it's cheap right now. It's already worth a lot. And if you compare that to other banks, then it's still not that cheap. Tom, what's your opinion on gold miners like Barrick and stuff? Yeah, the gold, well, I think the gold's going to go better come December. We've talked about that seasonal. We have discussed that quite a lot. So really the seasonal of gold has been quite strong. At the moment, gold's holding at 1750 area. You'll notice if you go down to a 2-hour, looking for it to probably break out past this little channel. It is holding that 1750, which is what we had lined up. If we go to gold itself, where are we? Barrick would just trade very, very similarly. It's been a pretty damn bad investment. I need a lot of action on gold before I'm really back in on it. And when I mean a lot of action, like I only want the participation phase on this thing. I'm not interested in taking positions in gold unless I'm pretty damn confident that the December play is coming through. So yeah, there's the November play into December play last year. If we go back over here, November into December didn't really actually affect Barrick that much in 18, which is surprising because gold did move. And then November into December, there's that little rally in December. So I guess it's not as heavily correlated as I thought it would be. Yeah. All right, back over here to the indices. Let's see what's going on. This is super frustrating in terms of when we're looking at a market and we're stuck in a channel. We're not seeing a closure either way. So you have to kind of trade accordingly. And the problem is that's why I'm saying it's frustrating because yeah, we've really got that it's basically a neutralized market. Coin is powering. Yeah, coin should be doing very well. You've got a big movement here in Bitcoin, which means that the rest of the coin market should be coming behind it. That will create a lot of interest. And as we know, that's the type of thing that leads to pretty strong trading. So coin could still be powering quite hard. Scroll through a couple others that should be affected by this. So how's Square going? Square's only up 1.36. Apple, see, Apple is terrible. Look at this, only up 0.27% on Apple. Still early days here on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq recovery. Apple is definitely one that we need to watch into the next sessions. Found that take two before. Roku looks good, but it's on the daily 20. Spot, INTC, Airbnb. PLTR did what I thought it would do. Couldn't hold the news. Pumpy dumpy. This thing always does it. Opens super strong into the market and people just take profit on it. So this is coming off the back of very big news there. Mark Wilkins becoming a new member. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that. About 7 minutes till the close today. So not too long till we get that close off. PayPal up 1.32%. Still need PayPal to clean 267 so that we can get a bit more bullish on it again. Should be a beneficiary of pretty good Bitcoin price. Let's have a look at some of the others. Net continues to power on. Massive price elasticity here. Phenomenal movement. Take two, as we discussed. The Hyatt still holding through. UAEL looking decent into the close. It's a decent reversal here. It's a very good base that UAL has formed. Obviously, it's a airline company, so I'm not a big fan, but certainly the trading or the technical analysis is showing a very nice, big base here, breakout, bit of a pullback, and a decent reversal for what it looks like today. So here we go. We're getting very close now to the close. US 100 is powering towards that resistance. Let's go to the Nasdaq. This is where you want to close above 14,760. We want to use real market whenever possible over the futures market for the closures. More important. Some people say, "Oh, but Tom, my trend line's already broken." That's valid. Trend line down has been broken if it can hold above. And this is the first hold. It's probably more of that scaling kind of concept towards the bull side. Let's go over to the 2 hour just to put this in perspective of how important this is. So is this all we wrote for the dip? Not as easy to say. If you're going with one way or the other, you'd almost think this is going to be more bullish in the futures into the next session. Yesterday, very easy. I mean, we've been right both times here in the close. You guys got big brains. We've had that rally when it held above the 4,300. We had the rally. We had the sell-off yesterday, which was very clear, and then we got that sell-off into the 45. And today, if you were going here, you would think, oh, it's looking pretty damn bullish into the close. But it's going to be marginal because here we go 4 minutes till the end, and it's just barely going to smidgen above it. INTC looks fine. It's just kind of hovering. Thad, just hovering. Thank you again, Mark Wilkins. Appreciate your support. I've got a question here for TSM. Then we've got a super chat coming in from Gareth. We'll do that in a second. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors. Right on support. Yeah, yep. It's right on support. Pretty sick stock. Very interesting level. If you like it from an investment standpoint, I mean, there's no trade there. But there's certainly, well, there's a trade if you like to take the risk and you put a small stop loss on it. But just remember, this is a very important support, and you might have to leave it should the market go underneath that area. Garrett Self, $10. I created a Webull account with a few $100s. I almost have enough to buy your masterclass. Oh, that's awesome, Garrett. And keep my original investment. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Well, firstly, it's awesome that you've been doing well, Garrett. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat. And yeah, I'm glad you're doing things hopefully the right way and making money the slow and steady approach, guys. Sometimes a little bit boring can be the best way. But it sounds like you've done well, Garrett, and hopefully you're applying some of the TA principles we talk about, the fundamental principles. I think this channel's a little bit different because we don't just say one thing is the best. We also like lots of markets. I don't really hate any particular markets. Speaking of lots of markets, just have a look here at US oil coming right back down to that previous resistance, adding a support. This is a zone that you should now look for lightning bolts off from a technical standpoint. Obviously, make your own decisions. But this is exactly where we expected oil to come back down to after that breakout. It's a very pivotal point here. Very pivotal. US 500 going towards the resistance. Looks like we're going to get a strong closure. And let's bring both of them down. So here it is. So Nasdaq looks like it's going to go 2 minutes to close. We're going to get a slight marginal bull off the Nasdaq, which no matter which way you look at it, does look relatively, good. This is clearly a very big issue zone for the Nasdaq. It's a strongish type of close. It's marginal. So what that means is if you were trading this kind of concept, especially ahead of non-farm payrolls, which comes out on Friday, it's one of those things that it's a good close, but it's not enough to place full positions. So far, we've had a closure that allowed a buy, a closure that definitely was showing a sell. That was the easier one to trade. And then we have here decent volume, certainly looking for it, but the big one, the S&P 500, just again, it is not currently above a bigger range, and that's the big issue with it. If Knock's out there, congratulations. Sounds like he won a NFT worth $10,000. Very cool. Jobs numbers, guys. Take profit, says Shahab. Yes, that's going to be one of the things that we look to. I can't buy the QQQ with SPY lagging behind. I think day traders wouldn't be... I don't think it would be a mistake or a problem to potentially be taking profits into the end. So we just got the close then. And it it's right on it. It's right on the horizontal. I always take the horizontal over this type of trend line because this trend line here, it's pretty much just it's a bit more phony. Yeah, it's more made up. There's not a very strong correlation with that, so we can pretty much get rid of this line. It's pointless. Always use the horizontal when you're not absolutely sure of something. And while you have broken through this, that's really your main signal. If we're going to go bullish here, what will happen is you'll notice it'll go like this, hit like 14.9, hit the 50, come back, give you the opportunity to get back in, because if it's going to go bullish, it'll give you this. It generally does. And then you'll move above. And once you get through there, then of course, you'll be smashing these resistances at the same time. You'll be getting through the channel. And what are we going to do? You have to be neutralized to the market. So if the channel had broken, which it hasn't, but if the channel had broken, we're looking for this distance towards the way up and towards the downside. Obviously, that's the 4,200. So can we all see here, chat, that while it looks all green, all good, it's all still marginal, stuck within a bigger range. So you look at this and you think, this is the reversal. This is great. That's, in my opinion, a bit more of a novice type play. You'll get trapped a lot thinking that. You've got to wait for the big closures. Now, if you day traded the bull side, I don't blame you at all. You were on support. You started to see some very nice action. Both the Nasdaq and the S&P and certain stocks were providing buys for the day. So congrats to you that bought it. But can we see that the closure, which is the most important part, is it's good, but there are some strange signs here. Like if we go back over to what we had up before, I forgot where it is now, the koi fin. Anyway, when we had the koi fin up, what we noticed was that utilities and consumer staples were the two top sectors of the day. They were the top sectors. Tanner says, yes, indecisive in my opinion. Yeah. Jobs number coming Friday. Exactly. Kenneth says, market is closed. Yes, I know. Tom, is my DoorDash short looking troublesome? Let's have a look at DoorDash. As well to the over 800 to 1,000 people who were out here before watching into the close. Appreciate you guys. Nice bullish, well, what looks like a big bullish close here today. Basically close into resistances. Look at the channels on the S&P. Yeah, your DoorDash is starting to look bad because you've got here a little bit of a long leg doji 2 hour and it's broken above. It's at the resistance. Like most of these stocks, they're all at that critical zone. This doesn't lend itself to being, fantastic towards the short anymore. Stuck between the 50 daily and the 20. We've seen this compressor action happen a few times. Tesla ended slightly positive. Apple ended 0.63. So, God, look how marginal it is. Look at this. Oh, my God. The horizontal is right there. Yeah, see, it's just way too marginal, guys. It's a strong close, but it's not. It's a very frustrating one. These are ones where I sit there and I think, all you need to do is give me another 0.2% and I could have actually started positioning properly. And that's what sometimes it takes. Trading is discipline. You've got to recognize there's always another opportunity. What's our case scenario here? What, the market goes up, you think like you missed out, and then it pulls back, comes back and tests the support, gives you opportunity to make a better informed decision, and then moves back up. Don't feel the FOMO. How many times have you entered the FOMO here, guys? And then it's come back down, hit the level that you wanted anyway, and then gone up. Using more information can be a savior. And if you keep taking marginal positions like this type of thing, then what happens is you get into this idea is you might be right. And you say, Tom, you're a dumbass. I'm so smart. I got it right. Look at you. You didn't get in. You're a noob, whatever. And look, sometimes you'll be correct and the market will go off in a big run, but you'll often be very incorrect as well by taking the marginal position. And it gives you, it gets you into a really bad state of mind, and you'll end up stuffing your account by not waiting for the correct confirmations. Chantello says, how can you tell what futures will do? Is it due to the closing above or below the trend lines? That's correct. Yes. And that's why I use the close. The close is better because when you can watch Wall Street into the end of the day, like today, they basically rallied the market. They rallied the market in more utilities and consumer staples, but they still rallied the market. So basically, it is a fairly good, strong move there. Yesterday, this is what happened. They rallied it into the resistance and then they sold it near the close. So the last kind of like 1 hour of trade was actually negative versus positive, and we got this type of candle. So what you could have done is you could have said, okay, I'm going to short the futures, or I'm going to close my buys, and you'll notice what happened. It did go down, create a long leg doji, move back up here on the apples, filled the gap. But today is so marginal because it's right at that resistance. So if it had closed like this, then yeah, okay, you would probably usually take a position, scale into your order, and it would be most likely up between the close and the next session. Mark Wilkins says, been listening for you for months. Best seems to be a long declining top break with lightning move above the 50. Lucian says, what about entry at 139 to scale in? I mean, if you're already in that area, sure. But you don't just, if it gets back down to 139, all that's happening here is just back at the same range. Thank you very much, Mark, as well. Appreciate it. 139 is just a pot shot unless you've got reasons. So if we go and have a look at the 5 minute, like let's say where I would be getting more bullish on this type of thing today. And this is why I think it was actually not a bad session to trade. Now, I couldn't have traded it because it's too early here in the morning. But realistically, we have here a declining kind of like channel. We've got a great base that's formed. This is in itself a lightning bolt on the higher time frames, and you get that closure out. So for the back session, like all of this should have been absolute profit for buyers. I can totally see why people would have been picking that up. Now, if you picked up the morning down here in the 5 minute, you're probably just betting on the idea that this will at least bounce. Okay. So you're basically saying, okay, the market's come in super negative. It's gone. It's pushed down. It's hit exactly that 138.50. And you're going to have a very, like, this is what a scalper will do. They'll pick it up. They'll put the stop loss underneath here. And they'll just say, look, I think that this scenario, based on it being Apple, etc., is going to be more times bullish than bearish. So I'm prepared to lose this a matter of times because my payoff versus the stop. So we pick it up at 138.50. You're not going to get the exact low. That would be a good level. Put your stop here, and you're going to get stopped out probably 5 out of 10 times. But when you get it right, you can see the payoff could be, a 10 to 1 from your, and that's why when you recognize we're in a channel, which we do, that's one of the ways you can trade it. Knock Knock says, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Thank you very much. $5 coming in from Knock Knock. Appreciate it, man. Garrett Self says, why did I buy calls on another Wall Street bet stock SDC? I'll have a look for you, Garrett, because you gave us one before. Well, it seems to be going up, which is good. Wall Street bet stocks, I'm unfortunately seeing a lot of people messaging me recently where they're getting, this is on resistance, by the way, where they're getting very, very, very burnt. And it kind of makes me sad because I know, like, I won't point out who it was, but basically they're explaining to me ways and reasons what they were in them, and they're wrong, very wrong. And I think that's following the crowd has been successful from March or Feb to now, I guess, or in some ways. But you've got to get away from this over the longer term, guys. It will not be your savior. You might make some money on it, but you'll give up a bunch of money by getting it wrong. It's not slow and steady wins the race. Those types of things, when you get into them, they boom. It looks all exciting. Everyone goes crazy. But how much can you sustain that? Remember, trading is basically like a business, and you want to be able to be successful in your business over a longer period. When you come and look at these futures, again, you see here the big resistance. I'll be looking for futures markets to get through and then pull back, and then you'll have to look for longs if that does occur. Otherwise, if the futures market weakens here, this is the first close that we've seen that I'm not exactly sure what's actually going to happen between now and the next open. Too marginal. If we're trapped in this range, then I've still got to go with the range is neutralized, and therefore you're at the resistance. But because of that rally, the only thing that makes me think still bearish could be here is the type of market sectors that were actually being bought, e.g., utilities and consumer staples. Definitely a defensive move by Wall Street. Gary Saini, thank you very much. $4.99. Can you do some analysis on the SPY and where we can expect the markets to be early, mid, late November? Any put call walls that need to be worried about? Well, the biggest one is just going to be the 450 15th of October from the SPY standpoint. So 15th of October, you've got a pretty decent wall that's going to be sitting at 450. Let me just bring up the SPY for you. So yeah, right here or around this area, 450 actually, but around this area is going to be, I would say, a bit of an issue for it in the future, come middle of October, if it does go back up there. And let me show you November. 1 second, I'll pull it up for you. I just got to get the third month, 19th. Okay, it's coming in now. All right. So I'm not bearish on the market into the end of the year, like a lot of people seem to be. It's all over the place. You'll notice here in the November strikes, there's really no rhyme nor reason to it. In fact, you've got like a ton of 400 puts, which is the wall itself. So that's why we were so big on, let's say the market does go down, it gets underneath 4,300 in the next couple of days. Non-farm payrolls pushes it there. Where do I expect the market to drop to and find heavy buying? Of course, that 400 will be heavy buying. 420 for this week would be heavy buying. So the open interest by strike here on November, it just basically shows us that we want to be in this kind of range here, more towards the buy side actually come November. More towards the buy side. If we have a look at this week, so let me just bring up this week's one. It's Friday this week. Starting to gear pretty heavily towards the short side. The 420 has gone up again since we last spoke. So there's the 420. That strike just continuously gets larger. And the buy calls are actually now smaller than the puts themselves. So Wall Street is again trapping people into this idea that the market was weakening heavily. They've obviously rallied it a few times. The puts have become quite big. And we're stuck still within this range here. So 440 is the call wall this week, and 420 is still the put wall. And we've got a bit of infighting here, but there's more negative kind of pressure from the puts now coming through all the way. So if we close somewhere at the top of this range, that would actually be perfect for them now. See how there's been a lot of openings in the last session towards the negative side? So overall, I'm pretty positive on the SPY. Whether we end up getting that further correction down to a 404 or not, I would expect any corrections down here to be met by fairly heavy demand. And at this stage, we're just stuck inside a channel. So you close out of the channel. We put like a ceiling on the market around 445 for at least a temporary ceiling. That would be my outlook. And then I expect a bit of a pullback here. And then if we get through there, then all-time highs. It's a serious level. J-Dubs has made a lot of money selling AMC premium. Ooh, that could be dangerous though, J-Dub, but well done. I'm sure you had some reason. Wall Street bets is not sustainable. People just drop off. That's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, that is what happens there. Victor Lau, $5.69. DS and SPR, please. These are my recent recovery stocks. Just wanted to get your thoughts on them. So Disney, no, sorry, DS, Drive Shack, not Disney. Let's now take a look at this. Not too bad on the charts. Lots of consolidation 260 support seems pretty solid. $3, you get closure above there. Then, of course, you're very happy with yourself because 350 becomes very open on this particular stock. Not much to say. I think it's a solid kind of position. The volume is low, and you do have earnings in 29 days. But overall, you've got good support. You've got a decent support here, and you're looking for that $3 to be broken and then get a very nice participation phase to 350. Highly likely if you break this 350 occurs. So that could be very nice. Thank you very much for the donation. And let's move over to SPR. Spirit Aero Systems. A much more broken out chart. Hopefully you took this based on a trend line break. Great bottom, one of the classic kind of recovery styles. Very rampy at this point. Your aim is 52. How you get there could be a little bit of steps forward, steps back. But the great thing about the steps back at 44, you've got a 200 daily, a 20 moving average will be there. So you've got some really good support as well along your swing into your resistance. Looks good. Well done, Victor. Both look fine. I would like your other one to get above 3. Beam's been hovering around support, added here, holding long. Yeah, Beam and all the CRISPR stocks are pretty good. So even though they've weakened heavily, which is pretty normal for biotech, then it's one of those ones that you're looking for a couple of years here. So it is on support. And if you're an investor, I could see why this level is of interest. Obviously, you don't want it through here because all of a sudden you're going to $65. That would be bad. I hope you get one off, Scott Morgan. And then we got J Nibble, CHF, $2. What are your thoughts on mRNA bounce off 300? Well, my thoughts are that we were pretty much correct about the fact that this thing's in a bubble-iciousness. The market capitalization is so expensive for it. So everyone had this story that it was going because of booster shots and everything. It was going to the middle of the sun. Unfortunately for mRNA and all of these, there's going to be a lot of competitors, and they were at 60 billion or something, or 200 billion. I can't remember. They're now at 122. 300 is a bit of a psychological zone, but that is all. I mean, I could see it going back to 240. Very bad breakout when it got below our support here. And of course, it just went straight. It opened straight under and sold through. So at this point, you're catching a falling knife. There's no turnaround just yet here. You need the story of let's get a turnaround, lightning bolt, double bottom, consolidation like we saw on that other one, J Nibble. Unfortunately for mRNA, it's not the flavor of the month. But this is what happens when things go bad. People don't come back and revisit them. They just, unless you got stuck in them, they don't realize that when you have exponential growth and you miss on something or the market deems it to be a bit overpriced, it can be pretty brutalized. I mean, 240 for me is a real deal. 50 exponential in the previous resistance. It's pretty damn bad. And then we've got ASDF FDSA. Thank you very much. $5. Any thoughts on DPST? Love the content. Let's have a look for you. DPST. Not bad. Very good. Weekly looks fantastic. Nice double bottom on the weekly. Really excellent. This is a mutual fund, it looks like. So I'm not sure. Oh, it's 3 times directional regional banks. Oh, okay. So it's just a leveraged loan or leveraged ETF. Well, because of the 10-year, I guess that's why it's out here. It's all mostly a 10-year trade. It's a good looking channel or double bottom that's broken out. And this is, of course, the types of consolidation you're looking at. But you want that 10-year up for sure. You need strong 10-year. It almost looks like a 10-year. Basically, if you get to 1.7 again, where do you expect this to be? 275. Brett C says no one catching CEI. Hamba Energy. Holy moly. Oh, no. What is this thing? Oh, and it's worth so little. Oh, it's disgusting. It's like a pump dump. I mean, I wish you were the best, but no, that is when you remember, look at the left-hand side, guys, when you're getting involved in them. Know what they are. Such an obvious pump dump. 300 million right now went to billions throughout whatever this was. Oil, gas production, Canberra energy, like just a sick crapping thing. And it's done it a few times too. Unfortunately, I do not like. Get it off the screen, says Thad. Yeah, it's disgusting. Now, the story of today probably is going to be this Bitcoin move. I think Bitcoin's the most impressive move of the day. And then that is the most impressive for me. US 10-year, I'll continue to watch this pretty closely. I'm still looking for that 1.55. If that breaks and the market hasn't gone down, might be an opportunity to take some little bit of shorts off our channels, and US 500 and US 100 both in the channel tops. So while everyone's excited about it, I totally understand why, they have not broken through the top end ranges. So remember, look at your SPY, look at your SPX, the horizontal lines up. I'll be doing a video a little bit later about this market. And at this stage, we're still stuck right squarely in the middle. The best market for the session was definitely the Nasdaq. It had the most marginal closeout kind of peak. But again, very marginal here at the resistance. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it short there a little bit. It's mostly just because, as you probably can see, I'm not on the screen for a reason. And yeah, I just need a little bit of rest. So I'm all good. It's all good. And I will see you in the video later on today. And of course, I'll see you for another live stream tomorrow at the close. So that's going to be a very exciting one. I hope we get some action. Today was not as illuminating as it usually would be. Usually we'd get like a nice, really strong closure out, or we'd get some sign from Wall Street, but we have some contradictory things. Remember, utilities was up heavily. Consumer staples was up heavily. So these were both up. Defensive sectors. At the same time, we're seeing the market go to a resistance on our charts and not close above it. So we've got defensive moves with a market that's bounced up after being down. We still have a lot of the same concerns in the market, so it's not like we've fixed it. And you cannot forget non-farm payrolls. So non-farm payrolls is coming Friday. Get your calendars out. Be aware of this bits of news. ADP employment change shows this number, which may have been why the market went up a little bit. My opinion, it means nothing. I've seen this fully reverse. So that number sucks. It doesn't do enough for us. What we need to know is this number here. And this number should be hopefully the burner that pushes us through. And then we can use options to figure out our ranges for the trading week. We're stuck in a range, guys. We've got some good looking market positions that could be coming up. Obviously got opportunities on Apple. We've got opportunities on that Take Two. That was pretty damn good. Thank you very much. Someone sent that in. And there's a few other stocks that you've super chatted today that I think are good. Oh, and I missed a super chat from John Smith. Tom, you missed my super chat for Hut. Okay, I'll do that now. Don't know how I missed it. I use a program that should find them all. But anyway, thank you very much, Dave. Hut Daily. I'm not sure how much you did super chat, but appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, hit 11. It's a good take profit zone if you had it. I like the base. Very similar scenario, double bottom after a pullback. So the base was great. Oh, the story was fantastic. But I think the profit, at least scale out partially, was here. Now you haven't got enough information here to be going, oh, I think it's going long past 11 or anything. But overall, when you get a market that bases like this, it hits the resistance. This is usually a decent scale out area. And here's the question. John Smith, $5. Tom, could you please take a look at Hut? Bitcoin is rocking, but Hut is selling off. RSI at 2-hour chart shows divergence. So this is one of the miners. Yes. Well, theoretically, it should be doing better. And I'm not sure why it isn't. I think maybe some profit taking has happened just at the 11. And I don't know about this data miner in comparison to Bitcoin price or anything like that. But as long as you believe Bitcoin's stabilizing, then it should be able to go up. You've obviously got your heavier support at 9. And I think it could just be a bunch of people saying, oh, well, I traded this, taking profit here, and I want to go get into the actual coin itself. I must admit, I don't quite understand some of these trades. I would rather, like, to me, I would rather hold the coin over these companies. But overall, $11 resistance. I think some profit taking happened. Don't worry about the RSI. It's useless for this type of thing. And you're just looking for, if Bitcoin stabilizes, maybe this does ramp up. $9 will be a heavy support. Riot did not do well either. It could also be something to do with regulation. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is hard. This is really bad considering where Bitcoin is. I've always said this. You can go back and watch the other streams. I don't quite get these trades. Is it because you don't have access to the coins? You don't want the coins? Or is there some other reason? These make very little sense to me, guys. I don't get them. I think they're just a high risk. They're in some ways a higher risk than Bitcoin itself. In fact, they are for less payoff. Von Louis sent a super sticker, $4.49. Thank you very much, Von Louis. It is strange it's not performing well, but look at this. This Riot is terrible. The RSI divergence, I wouldn't worry about that. There's something else going on here with the miners, and I can't tell you that I know. I'm not on top of it. I don't know why. Because they're cheap. I don't really believe they're cheap. I like, what the real management of these companies looks like. Thank you very much, Von Louis. And none of us do. None of us do. Schwab, $2. Path is an ARK stock. She is buying every day. Any idea? Yeah, she's been buying Path for a while and just keeps dropping. Look, Kathy Wood's shine is coming off a little bit. I think the biggest problem for her is she's looking at these companies, and we have a rule here, and that is that if something's under 12 months on the market, it's a nah. We don't look at it, guys, because this is what happens. And I guess from my perspective, I don't really know what happened to Kathy Wood's team, but when they started purchasing coin at the open, blew my mind. I have no idea why an experienced team would be doing that at those valuations. I really don't. Now, I know she only bought a little bit, but this stock looks kind of weak still. You need to look at a really big reversal, and overall, you haven't got that yet. You got a downward trend line, but you don't have that reversal. I just not a huge fan of this stock at this stage. Pretty bullish close, am I right on this? Not really. I mean, it just kind of looks the same as everything. I don't know about that one. Yeah. I can't comment on it. It doesn't have a TA that I would look at. Let's move over to the markets just to finish up here. So we've got the futures coming in. It's going to hit probably this resistance, which is 43.72. See how the futures end up reacting to that. If you open above the futures tomorrow, the story will be open, pull back, look how that market's interacted, and then, of course, take long. Problem zones will be 4,400. Will still be a resistance. And then, of course, you're looking to fill that massive gap over here. This is the first day that we've seen some bullishness come back into the market that seems more legitimate. So that's a big deal, but we need to get through these ranges. So the range is real, and at this stage, we're still in the range. Look to the S&P 500 to be the real market leader. not the Nasdaq. While the Nasdaq might perform better because it's down more, and that might be your buy, your signal should probably be taken from the US 500. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy our content. We appreciate everyone coming out to the close, and we'll probably do some fandangling of the close. Maybe we'll start at 1 hour before the end. Would you guys like that? Instead of going half an hour after, which I know some people have already complained about, and half an hour before, maybe what we'll do is we'll just do a full hour into the close. And as they call it, the hour of power, because that's where Wall Street start to actually deposition or position their way up. All right. Ciao, everybody. Bye for now.